Waste is something that we create when we don't value it. But if I threw it away and just went, I've got no value for it, then it becomes waste. So we have to change that way of thinking, that when we get all that single-use plastic and we use it once, before we throw it away, we go, oh, this could be used for something. And that's education. That just comes down to education, understanding material types and how they can be recycled. My name's Louise Hardman, so I'm the founder of Plastic Collective from Red Rock, New South Wales, Australia.
Hi Louise, I'm so glad to see you. We've had a couple of conversations before. I'm very intrigued about how you embarked on your journey towards the Plastic Collective.
My background is I'm actually a zoologist and then later became a high school science, chemistry, bio and marine teacher. The reason why I got involved, I started Plastic Collective, was a couple of things happened. The first thing that happened was I witnessed a small green turtle die over 3 days very painfully from ingesting lots of plastic. And that was a number of years ago. So I've always been very aware of the plastic problem. When I was a teacher, I was actually over in Thailand and I was traveling with my daughter and I met a young 5-year-old girl and she was looking after her siblings while her mother worked, and she went inside, brought out some rubbish and walked down to the beautiful, beautiful National Park river and threw it in the river. When I asked her why she did that, she said, well, we all do it, it goes away. And then she started crying. And that was the moment that I realized I had to become an educator.
So what are some of the steps that you take towards empowering yourself around a very disempowering plastic pollution issue?
Well, I suppose when I started my business, it was the lowest point in my life. A number of things that had happened all at once, including, doing my ACL, my knee injury, so I couldn't work. At that point, when I sort of hit rock bottom, that was the moment when I realized I had to find a solution. Actually, one of my friends rang me up at the time and she asked me if I was okay. And I said, no, I'm not. And she goes, you have to work with water, hence the water. And at that moment, I suddenly realized that I had to do everything in my power to stop plastics going into the ocean and, killing animals and polluting communities. Empowering moment. That was my light bulb moment. And from then, I just started focusing. I knew what the problem was. So I just started focusing on what is the solution for that problem and working with people that were really solution focused as well.
There was something that you mentioned in a presentation that you gave in 2017 where you said the economics of plastic recycling fails the most needy. Or what about the current model of plastic recycling is broken? And how can we rethink that?
As I said, the current model of plastic recycling is, recycling to begin with is just one quarter of the solution. There's another 3 solutions which we can go into, but the recycling in remote communities is particularly difficult because of the transportation cost, the volume that these plastic takes up in boats or trucks. It's just not economically viable. They can't even pay for the petrol money to get it to a recycler or even a waste facility.
Can you tell us what's the biggest challenge that you've had so far? And maybe also what's your great victory for 2020?
My biggest challenge has been since I started. So for the first 4 years, our business has been going for 5 years now. The first 4 years, we had maybe 3 or 4 people. None of us had a wage. I had no other job, so I had no wages for a number of years, supported by family and friends, which was such a blessing. So in that regard, that was the biggest challenge that I had. And then we sort of had the breakthrough this year with our funding and setting up some more programs. Now working with the plastic credit market and working with a lot of companies and corporations linked in with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So my biggest achievement really is working in these remote communities and seeing when their faces turn from shame that they've got pollution in their community to pride that they're helping their community. And when you see that moment, that's like, it makes you cry. Yeah.
You've kind of moved on from just the beach cleanup stuff and, doing marketing and awareness programs really into solution engineering. What are some of the solutions that Plastic Collective actually offer?
To address the pollution going from these islands and the remote locations of it, we had to design and build mobile recycling machines and training programs to help people be able to turn the plastic materials, either rigid plastics or soft plastics, to turn that into saleable items, products and so forth. And we did 3 pilot programs, one in Whitsundays, Queensland, and one in Bali, one in Borneo. We delivered that, did the training with these communities, and that all went well. We're still working really closely with those 3 projects. We're also bringing in different bits of software compliance so we can monitor the provenance of materials. So we can say if somebody picks up material on northern beaches of Bali, then they can follow they can trace that material all the way through to when it gets turned into, say, sunglasses or something. And then also working with the plastic credit market, where corporations are now going through processes of, they might join the global commitment, for example, and commit to reducing their plastics and getting more sustainable plastics. And then we look at their footprint of what's left after they go through this process. And then they can also, basically offset they can buy plastic credits from these communities to recover that material on their behalf.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of stuff happening. The way that you're going about it is just like, you're trying to deal with plastic at source. You're really innovating how to combine the community aspect with the tech aspect, coming at it from more of a solutions perspective, where instead of on the greenwashing bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being solution focused, one of the things that saved me the most was the law of least resistance. It covers 3 things. So the first thing is that you accept things as they are right now. You can't change them right now, but you might change them in the future. The second one is that you only take responsibility for yourself. This is a difficult one because a lot of people go, but no, I have to tell everybody else what to do. You can't tell people what to do. You can only demonstrate. My plastic consumption right now is less than, I think, 5 kilos a year, and I recycle all of that. So I have no plastic going to landfill. And now my family follows that. They do the same. And so you don't have to explain to people why you're doing this. You're just doing it. People will see you, they'll follow your example, and that's more empowering than anything.
Thank you so much, Louise. You're really an inspiration. I just feel that finally I can identify with somebody that is, just kind of looking at this issue of waste or plastic pollution in a completely different way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Louise. Thank you so much for your time.